So today I want to go over what I think is a underrated part of Starfield, and that's going to be ship combat. And if you're enjoying my Starfield coverage, make sure to subscribe. This channel is solely based on Starfield, and we have tons of videos coming soon. Now you'll be spending a lot of time in your ship while playing Starfield, and the big new system to keep that interesting is the power allocation system, where you'll be able to add or remove power from various systems in your ship, and presumably how advanced your reactor is how much power you're going to have to play with. Now in the Starfield showcase, they had 14 bricks of power to play with where they could allocate to various different systems, and they had 6 different systems in the showcase that you could add or remove power to. You had weaponry, and they had lasers, ballistics, or missile weapons. Then they could allocate power to engines, shields, or their grav drive, and depending on how advanced all these systems are is how much power they can hold at a maximum. So for instance, their grav drive seemed to be a bit more advanced, so it could hold a lot more power. Now adding more power to these various systems is going to change how those systems actually work. Now for something like weapons, it's presumably just going to make them better at tracking, increase their damage, or maybe increase their fire rate. And then if you want to add more power to an engine, this will make your ship faster, presumably give it better acceleration, and potentially give you better maneuverability. But then if you allocated more of your power to your shields would be able to hold for longer, they would take more damage, and potentially be able to regenerate quicker. But then say you're in a battle and you're losing that battle, and you want to use your grav drive to jump to a different piece of space and evade that battle. The more power you allocate to your grav drive causes your ship to take less time to actually make the jump. So when you start a jump, it'll have a timer, and the more power allocated to your grav drive, the quicker that's going to be. So maybe if you were in that battle being destroyed and you didn't have enough power allocated to it, it would take too long and your ship would be destroyed before you could make the jump, or you could put all of your power into your grav drive, jump very quickly, and get out of harm's way. Now, if you're in combat with another ship and you end up destroying that other ship, you're actually able to loot that ship's remains directly from your ship. So you just fly by and there will be a piece of that ship you're able to loot and get whatever loot that ship would give you. We actually don't really have an idea of what type of loot you would be able to get. Presumably you wouldn't be able to get any loot directly stored on the ship. Maybe you'd be able to loot some of their cargo containers that were intact, but primarily be looting some type of raw resources directly from the remains of the ship. But you don't always have to destroy enemy ships, because you're also going to be able to dock enemy ships, kill or potentially capture their crew, and take control of that enemy ship and keep it for yourself. Now, as I've gone over in previous videos, to be able to then customize that ship, you'll have to register it with wherever you're trying to customize it from, which sounds like it's going to be pretty expensive. So you can't just go around the universe taking all the ships you want and instantly customizing it. You have to actually register them. Now that's basically all the information we have for the ship combat itself, but there's going to be a ton of different skills you can specialize into that's going to affect your ship and ship combat. In fact, the majority of the tech skill tree is based around ships. Now there are a couple of the skills in the tech tree that are specifically based around customizing and building your own ships, but the majority of these skills will directly impact ship to ship combat. So we have skills specializing on every different weapon type you could apply to a ship. So ballistic weapon system skills increases your ship's ballistic damage. Your laser weapon systems increases your laser weapon damage and range. Your missile weapon systems increases your missile damage. Your particle beam systems presumably will also increase particle beam damage, but particle beams are kind of a unique weapon because this is a weapon system specifically used if you want to attack multiple ships at a time. So this skill may also improve the targeting of this system because that's primarily what it's built on. And then we have turreted weapon systems, increases turret damage and range, and this skill just instantly makes me think of the Expanse. Then we have EM weapon systems, which increases damage, and this is also a weapon system that we don't really know much about. And this is just the base version of all of these skills, but as we've seen with other skills, as you specialize more and more into a specific skill, it usually starts unlocking more interesting upgrades and additions, even sometimes adding in wholly new gameplay elements. units. But that's not all, because there's a ton of additional skills that affect your ship, and one of the most interesting is targeting control systems, and at a base, this improves the aiming with your deck weapons, so presumably any weapon, this would improve its aiming. But from the Starfield showcase, we also learned that with this skill, you're also able to start targeting subsystems on other ships, so things like their weapons or the different pieces of the ship itself. So you could try to target the reactor, you could try to target different cargo holds, you could try to target their different habitats where their crew would be, and I'm assuming this is a later rank of this skill. So like as we went over it, as you get more into the skill, it adds in new systems and can even change gameplay. Then we have things like the piloting skill, which increases the maneuverability. We have propulsion, which increases your engine performance and your ship's max speed. We have payloads, which increases your cargo size, but this does also seem to play a role in how much ammo you could carry, because even the badge for this looks like a missile. So presumably you'd be able to carry more missiles or more ammo for your weapon systems with this in later ranks. And then we have shielding, which increases your shielding and shield regeneration. So this all adds up to a pretty intricate and complex ship combat system. So if you're somebody that's going to want to just be in your ship all the time, you're going to want to be getting into all these different dogfights, fighting all these different ships out in space, you're going to have a ton of content and a ton of character progression to further improve your ship. And we do know that the customizing and upgrading of your ships is a more endgame feature. It's going to be very expensive. It's even going to require 2 different skills to get the most out of it. But that's just on the ship customization and building side. We now have tons of skills that are specifically designed around improving your ship combat. So there's probably going to be a ton of opportunities to get in ship v ship fights while exploring the universe of Starfield. But that's pretty much all I want to go over, so thanks for watching.
You're in complete control every step of the way. We've extended that sense of control to ship combat. It's not about just hitting your triggers to fire your weapons. It's a complex dance between your piloting skills and our power allocation system. Boosting power to your engines will make your ship faster. Powering up the ground drives will shorten the amount of time it takes before you can make a jump. And moving your power to your weapons and shields means you're ready for a fight. You should always be on your toes because you're not alone out there. Unlocking the targeting control system skill will allow you to zero in on specific subsystems of the ship you target. After destroying an enemy ship, you can loot the remains from your cockpit